Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining for today's episode. And as you know, that growth story is all about journey of ordinary people with extraordinary goals, where I'm going to have candid conversation with my guests, and their journey would tell you a glimpse of stories or struggles which they have gone through and how did they come out of it. It is not a motivational conversation, but definitely it is an inspiring one. So if you are somebody who wants to get inspired from the people who are having more or less similar circumstances like you, or maybe if you want to go after the same journey, then this podcast is for you. So continue watching. And today I have a very, very special guest, one of my good friend as well, Mrs. Rajani KS. She has earned a gold medal in her postgraduate. She has served as head of the Department of Biology for one of the colleges in Bangalore. She is a life coach. She is the author of a most popular science book and many more to come on your way. So, with all this, I would like to invite Dr. Rajni KS. Very warm welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Meenu. It's so nice. It's so nice to have got in touch with you. I think we got in touch with each other last year, and from then on, from the first conversation, it has been friendship all the way. Thanks a lot, and I feel honored to be speaking to you today. And I really wish that all your endeavors become great and grand successes.
Thank you so much, and very, very warm welcome to you. I'm very excited, super excited to have this conversation with you. I know we have had so many offline, but this is for our audience. So, I called you doctor, and I know you have submitted your thesis, and I know that feeling once you submit your thesis, the moment you someone can call you doctor. It is so amazing. How did you feel when you submit your thesis?
Yeah, when I submitted my thesis, it was one of the best moments of my life. It was like a dream come true. Effort of almost 4 years of proper research being put into a formal write up, and so many corrections. And when it came out as a scientific literature, I really felt extremely jubilant about it. um, and as you rightly say, anything in science, because it's done so objectively, uh, and you'll have to fight so many of your biases, and drive to get results quickly. You'll just have to follow the process for the results to be visible. So there's a lot of learning in research, and that process I did enjoy a lot.
Wow. And I mean, whenever we even talk, that's very obvious in your conversations how much you love science and your love to your topic and to your subject is very, very evident. So hats off to you. In fact, you have gone ahead and shared your experiences in your book as well. So we'll talk about all of this. Let us get started with where were you born and how was your childhood like?
Well, I was born very much in Bangalore in KC General Hospital. That's what my parents tell me.
You're a Bangalorean.
I'm a Bangalorean, but then I have fond memories of my infant. Maybe 3 years is what I remember, not before that. Uh, I was with my grandparents in Vailika. Well, my mother was a working woman, so she would drop us at her mother's place, and my uncles and aunts would play with us. So it was an extended family. So that's all is what I remember about my childhood. Typical middle class conservative family background.
What your mother and father used to do?
My mother retired as an assistant director with the social welfare department. She was an she is definitely an inspiration to me. A very hardworking and a lady with a lot of positive approach to life. You know, I know of my mother in a way that the journey is like this. She was in very high position in her job. There was like jeeps coming and picking her up, and then she would tour many hostels to see that things are okay in her profession. However, at the family, not many would even realize the position that she was in. And, she would finish all her work, come back home, and cook like a typical housewife, the rice, sambar, vegetables, everything, and serve all of us. So when I was like 25 when I 2022 when I took a job, and when I was going, I truly realized the struggle that my mother was going through, which I really didn't understand when all through and she was doing it. Now those days, no washing machines, nothing. On Sundays she would take everybody's clothes, wash, and then we would help her go and put it, and then the next day again she would run. But and despite all of this, she always had a smile, a positive approach. I would sometimes feel a little low if I would achieve something in the school, or a friend would turn and a small time enemy for a short time. I would feel very
Mm-hmm.
low at those moments. I would go and talk to my father about these things, but my mother, after she listens to all of this, would just say, don't cry over these things. Just move on. No, no, don't brood on these things.
Yeah.
There were some very nice lessons that my
Mm-hmm.
mother gave me. My father was with Canara Bank. He retired as a special assistant with Canara Bank. He was also a very committed, honest worker, doting on his daughters. So
How many siblings are you? How many siblings do you have?
we have three sisters. I'm the eldest,
Ah.
and I have two more next to me. My second sister is a senior teacher at NPS, and
Mhm.
my other sister is a social worker and a postgraduate with engineering.
Okay, okay. So a whole family is kind of very educated and towards community service, what I can hear.
My it's the contribution is because of my parents.
Mm.
We were three daughters, and many of quite a number of relatives also were sympathizing with my father, saying, both of you are employed and you have three daughters. What a tragedy in your house. That's the kind of background. Who's going to carry forward your legacy and all that. My father would always say, my daughters are my sons.
Mm.
And about education, he always wanted us to go to the highest possible, and always been supportive all years. That kind of very caring family background I did have in my childhood with both my parents. Deeply
Awesome.
grateful to them for the exposure, for the learnings they gave us.
And the kind of support what your father had given, saying that, okay, they are my son, and I'm sure they have given you what all you wanted to become in life so that they can be proud of. It was great to have such parents, right?
Yes,
What
yes.
I hear you say that you have seen your mother being at such a high position and coming back home, cooking and washing clothes and all that. As you said, you did not understand it back then. Now, what do you make of it when now you are, since you are grown up and you understand what it is, you yourself as a mother and wife and all. What do you think your mother was doing? As in that
My
having
mother.
her to say things that, okay, these are small things, don't cry on that. There are bigger things in life.
Oh, yeah. Now I feel actually, if there's a message that I would want to give, I really want the society to be fair to women.
Mm.
Like, for the so many things that they manage outside their families and in their jobs when they come back home. I really want the man's world to be a little more sensitive to their needs. It should begin at home as well. My father would help my mother, in cutting vegetables and things like that. But then when there were relatives around, it wouldn't be easy for him to offer the support given the typical patriarchal mindset. If he does that, then relatives would not receive it very well. So when relatives weren't around, the family would be an equality based family. When the relatives
Happier,
were
a happier
around,
one.
relatives were around, it would look very patriarchal. And I feel that the society should be a lot more fair to women, recognize them as individuals who are really achieving a lot, and still, emotionally so much more mature and strong and pulling out so many things together. A lady of the house is like somebody who absorbs a lot of things and still stands like a pillar.
Right.
That kind of feeling is what I get when I see my mother now. Then I sometimes would also get a little angry about her for her becoming a little too agitated, should a little sometimes be strong on us. But then now I feel that's the least that she could do then, because that they were the only small vents she had where she could
Hmm.
actually express what was going on in her mind. And sometimes I feel apologetic to the anger that I got then with my mother. I've told her, sorry. I've told her that I didn't understand you then, mother.
That's okay. That was the kid in you who expressed
Yes,
those things,
yes,
because
yes.
that time your intelligence was not that so that you can
Correct,
understand the bigger picture.
correct.
So it is very sweet of you that you did tell that or share that with your mother, because many a times it so happens that there are many things, many feelings actually which we carry and they just stay with us forever. I mean, we either we do not get courage or we feel embarrassed to even accept that okay, there was something which I felt which was not supposed to be that way. So
Yes.
that's very sweet of you and expressive that you could share that with your mom. That shows what kind of bonding you and your mother has. So that's hats off to you for that.
Thanks, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, how was it like being the elder sister among three siblings?
I was both responsible and naughty. You know, I would, I would really care for my sisters. I would take care of them. I would attend to their needs. But I was also very naughty. I was like, I was more an kid who was playing all the time outside. My parents had to call me back home by 8 o'clock, 8:30, and I would still not come home. Play, play, play. My youngest sister tells me that she is 8 years younger to me, so she says me her first memories of me are like, a dark faced girl, thin and then sweaty, come and smile right in front of her face. So yeah, so I was both responsible and naughty, but I was very, very protective of both my sisters. I was very protective of them. When there are too many relatives who visit your house, it also comes with a lot of uh, not so good memories. Always not everything is very right and hunky dory. So at all those moments, I would definitely protect my sisters and then be with them.
Very sweet. That sweetness is there even now. I can see the glimpse of it. Okay, so you have completed your plus two in Bangalore itself?
See, it was like this. I was moved to Shumoga when I was three and a
Mm-hmm.
half probably. My parents got transferred to Shumoga, so my
Mm.
primary schooling and middle school is which in Shumoga. Then
Okay.
we came to Kolar, where I studied from fifth standard up to 10th standard. And then, my parents felt I was very bright, and I had a lot of interest in studies. So I also dreamt of becoming a medical doctor then, way back then. So then they brought me to Bangalore. In fact, as a family, we shifted to Bangalore in 1992, and from then we are here.
Okay, okay.
So my
So,
plus two was in Bangalore.
yes. Where was it from in Bangalore?
I studied in SJR College for Women.
Okay, okay.
Here, there's one thing that I want to share with you.
Yes, please.
A small experience which I think uh, many kids would go through and many parents would go through. So just a small glimpse, like in my 10th standard, I was very keen and very interested in physics, maths, and social everything. And in fact, I was a topper in Kolar and my school also. So there were many groups which called us, felicitated us, and all, felicitated me, all that. So I moved from a town to a city. It was a big transition actually. My English wasn't polished. uh, I wasn't the city bred kid. So my upbringing was more town based. It took some 6 7 months for me to get adjusted to the Bangalore atmosphere. And for science students, once you take science, the in case you're really interested in making a career in science, you should start becoming clear about it by eighth standard, not later. you know you know why I say that? Because in case you really want to do medical engineering and do it in very good institutions, your focus should start long back at eighth itself, where you actually start looking out for proper exams to crack, get scholarships, and reach out to institutions. So I feel career guidance is very important for high school children. And I can as well say that however bright I was in 10th standard, when I shifted to PUC, my parents put me into the best college that they knew. Okay, but we didn't know that we had to go to tuitions and the good ones to be able to crack CET and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So first PUC just went away as a good student in the college. Second PUC, there were no admissions in good tuitions. And then, being this coming from the conservative background, how much of my parents wanted me to study. There was like a marriage of a sister, an uncle passed away, and then relatives keep coming home. So the crucial year, when it gets missed, whatever is your background, you will not be able to do it then. So, and then my parents also start feeling guilty that they couldn't give the support necessary. Situation was like that. I also went through a phase of quite low self-esteem after my PUC for a year.
Mm-hmm. You have pointed out a very important thing because for most of us, we feel that once we complete our plus two, then is the career guidance starts, and we do not seek out help outside because we feel that maybe they are just attracting their own business, especially going to the coaching centers. And many of us are even not aware that there are coaches, especially like you, those who are there for kids for career guidance at such early age. So that awareness is not there. At least in my in and around society, I have not seen that parents are being aware of that fact that okay, there are such coaches like that because whenever someone says even coaching or training, it all comes once you complete your plus two or maybe graduation, then you start looking around. So it is really great to see that you are interested in that, and I know that you help your, your students do that. So if
Yes.
just for audience, if anybody wants to, get that guidance, how do they get to interact with you? And what kind of help can they get from you?
I'm now a certified career coach as well. I took proper certification with Career Guide, and so in case somebody wants to reach out to me, they can send me a mail on my mail ID, and then when it's possible, I'll fix up an appointment with them and talk to them. Give some psychometric tests where they know where their hidden potentials are, and also talk to the kid and the parents and see how they can carve their career path. I feel that's important. Finally, they may not choose the career that is there on the cards, but then if they can make a choice from 10 options, that's always a better position than to be simply driven by what comes your way.
That is so true. That's so true.
Maybe
So
a mail or a message if they really want some
yes, so
information.
I'll put your mail ID in the description box so that if anyone is interested, they feel free to reach out to you, and I'm
Yes.
sure you would be giving them the necessary guidance. So
Yes.
thank you so much for that. Okay, let's get back to where we were. So when you shifted from, as you said, you were not from the city culture and you got into Bangalore. What was the major thing you felt that you could have got exposed to or you could have worked upon earlier in order to fit in that city culture?
uh, I
Was there
think
any inhibition or any thought process you had
language,
that
language,
yes,
language,
yes,
English being the connecting language here in most of the cities and across India, especially the cities. So English was one inhibition. Marks is one thing, communicating and having that stylish accent makes a very big difference, acceptability in the cities. And secondly, no big knowledge about grooming yourself also. Like city girls are more, at least they have slight orientation towards fashion,
Like
clothes.
how
They
to
have a
carry
choice,
themselves.
yeah, they carry
Yes.
themselves.
Yes.
So that's another exposure that is not very. But I think now things are far better because of the YouTube,
Internet reach. Yes.
internet reach, and many people can learn a lot of things. And I don't think that that's very essential for anybody's self-esteem. But then when you come out at that age, when you see things outside and you are a slight misfit, you always try to fit into the larger common group.
Mhm.
Okay, that's a feeling. But then on a mature self, I don't find it a very big thing. But then as a girl way back then, just 15, 16, 17, these things did matter.
Yeah.
I really felt they were important for me to know. Maybe something told to us on minimal grooming and what could be done would bring a little more acceptability. And the conservativeness was so high at my house, like just to put on a pant and a shirt, I had to take a very big fight with my father.
I know. I can totally understand when you said conservative thing and then coming back to city
It's
culture.
like putting on a pant and shirt would mean attracting so many boys around you.
Oh my God.
Okay, so it was like, uh, and at that age, you will really not be able to tell anything to your
Yes.
parents
Yes.
as well. And you can't say they're wrong also, because once they put that doubt in you, you start fearing, am I doing it? Am I attracting? The kind of strength that is necessary to just be yourself and not bother about things. And if need be, you take the responsibility of how you look. And if there's somebody coming, you combat, you fight, you make a group of girls and move around. These things will come when you are, in fact, I would rather want the elders world to say of these things: be yourself, be the way you are, but be aware that the society out there can be slightly dangerous for you. Always move with friends and know how to fight back. you know
Yes.
if that is the message that's given, that would be far more empowering than shut yourself down, don't expose yourself, what
Yeah.
is the
It's.
tight dress you're wearing, your curves are seen. Come
Hmm.
on, okay, like
So we say for the sake of saying, okay, we live in 21st century. However, when it comes to your own daughter or your own family member to go out in a certain outfit or attire, you do have that thought process. Okay, how would that look? How would people around you perceive and all that? But it is more important that you accept yourself the way you are. If you are comfortable, go ahead and wear it, whatever it would be. And if you're not comfortable, don't do. Even though people around you are into that flow, that should be
correct.
absolutely fine. And as you said, if required, then have your own gang and people
Yeah.
around you who can
Yes.
protect you
Yes.
and be there
Yes.
for you.
Yes.
Right. That is so true. And what you said, that little thing, what we say, have an impact. Even though to our parents or to whoever is saying those comments to us, we will say, okay, I don't care or something. Somewhere in your mind, they put that bug, and then you start thinking about it. That's why it is so important. What kind of word do we use? What kind of things we say? Maybe it is our very own opinion. But is this really important to share it with growing kid to put their thing in their head and then they keep wondering, okay, maybe it is because of that or something. So that's like, okay, so
And I have no, complaint about what they said. Uh, I understand where it comes from. It comes from a deep sense of wanting to protect us and not wanting us to
yes,
go through any bad experience in life.
so true.
All said and done, there is no choice but to empower girls and women, because the experiences can happen within the four walls of the house. It does not require for you to be outside to be, getting to uh, see a ugly world.
True, very true.
So
Okay, so after plus two, what did you want to become when you were completing your 12th standard? You had any thought process, I have to be doctor only,
Yes,
or
yes. I
because
really wanted
parents
to.
said that?
No, I wanted to be a doctor. I really wanted to be a medical professional. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still now interested in medicine. I am still very passionate about all the advancements that happen in the field of medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that's when I decided to choose biology, because at least that would be a supplement for my interest. If not be a doctor, at least choose that stream and try going in that path. When my parents also told me to get into PCM, I was good at physics, maths, and chemistry as well, but I chose to take uh, biology,
Biology, biology.
chemistry, botany, and microbiology. And my teachers also like that. Again, there it was not a great career choice. Not that I was very particular that I have to choose this. I went into the college. My teacher, my HOD, biology department, her name was Dr. Nagaratnamma. She was very fond of me, and I said, I'll take chemistry, zoology, microbiology. She just held my hand and said, You're my student, how can you take zoology? I'm a botany teacher, you just take botany. So I just took chemistry, botany, and microbiology. The career choices were as flimsy as that. If somebody says, somebody affectionate to you says, Do it, just take it, kind of. So,
However, as you said, it is very important that you take that time, understand it, take guidance from somebody, what you are good at based on your traits match and all that. Then you take that career choice.
and I think there's a very big thing. I've seen so many times, I've gone to many government colleges for various reasons. Okay, during the time of admission, many children come to the college, and then they ask the fees, and they look at the affordability and choose a course. That's also there. And another option is people think of placements, jobs where they can be placed, and then they choose a combination. And that decision they do at the time when they're filling the application. And I know a lot of, I think majority of India still has first generation kids who are studying. Parents are, housemaids and tailors, and they're trying to give education to kids. So those kids have no place, nowhere to go and seek anything, even frame their ideas. So the initial exposure in childhood is a very, very big decisive mm, element in choosing careers.
So it is more of being an aware parent, and then obviously we can give best education. So it's not only about finding the best school as per your
Yes.
affordability and just get them placed. It is more of make yourself aware of what your kid can do best in his or her capability, and then probably choose things, and not okay what can be affordable for next 4 years or next 5 years, and then you take that decision. But I believe most of us, at least as per my experience, we do think okay, what would be my package if I complete this course, where will I be placed, and how soon I can get the placement, because if I'm getting into this, or maybe my friends are getting into this, so let me get into this. So that early guidance is definitely missing link, what you said. So again, people can come to your help for that.
More than coming to my help, even if they are aware, if they
Yes,
try to
yes.
find out themselves, or
Mhm.
if their kids are oriented towards that kind of thinking, just the for shift of focus would do a great deal.
Yes, yes. Or else we have to at least have that thought that we have to
Yes.
make ourselves aware, because considering internet reach these days, literally you can learn anything and everything. It's just your own interest and being a little more mindful and aware of what to choose, which will benefit us in long term.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So coming back to us, you did try for write for medical entrance exam, is it?
I did write twice. That was
Mhm.
a failure. I couldn't get through. You
Did
know.
did you go under depression during that time? Did you feel low
Yes, I did
because you
feel.
were
I
very
did
much
feel
interested?
very low. I did feel very low. In fact, I actually felt my parents are so doting on me. They have so much hopes. I've let them down, and I was like stuck. I didn't know how to crack. I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know the institutes to go to, books to read. I was in real dark because. I was not that outgoing kid in PUC. If somebody gave me a book to read, I would read and crack an exam. But then it was not in me to go ask for books, ask for assistance, guidance, and get things. So that was too much of a thing that in PUC to be expecting out of me.
Hmm.
That's what I feel now. Or maybe this experience made me stronger and way different, or much more powerful than what I would have been even being a doctor. So both ways, I really felt very bad at that age. In fact, I suffered from a sense of failure. I would find it impossible to go and face any of my relatives,
Relative,
cousins,
especially. Yes.
yes, cousins, and even friends. For a fact, many of them succeeded, and I felt not that they were better than me, but they all got into medicine. I couldn't get into medicine, so I didn't know whom to blame, what to
Correct.
do.
Yeah. And
and
it
then I
is, yeah. Go ahead, sir.
then I actually started blaming myself. That's when I started telling that I'm not as good as my parents tell me to be good enough. So anyway, I've chosen a path. Let me just finish this and see what can be done. If not a doctor, a teacher at least.
So how did you manage to come out of that dark phase, sense of failure, or maybe sense of even questioning your own self-worth? Maybe what my parents are telling is the exaggerated version of my talent or something. How did you manage to pass that
I
phase?
would
And
give the credit to my father. I don't think he was a counselor or something, but then he would give a patient hearing. He was very supportive. He would advise immediately. He gave me that safe space where I could tell him anything and everything, and then he would say, "No, my dear daughter, you're much more worthy than this." Actually, it would have been very tough for him because he had to hide his frustration.
hmm,
He really wanted me to become a doctor, and then uh, I've not succeeded. Now he can't say that I've done everything the best way, because he knew that I didn't do the best that was possible. And he was also helpless. He thought he gave me the best, and that
hmm,
was not the best, and I couldn't tell him, and
hmm.
he didn't know what else to do. And my relatives also, they would come and speak big things, but nobody had a clear idea of which place to go, where to study, how to crack. They were the three most important questions for me. Get into this institute, read these books, read for 9 hours, and then you will crack it. That was the information I needed, and it took me 2 years to reach where that was. It was late, so he gave me that safe space to be talking. In fact, even today, he's my best friend, my father. Uh, he's
Yeah.
still my best friend, Um, if there's the actually, I must tell you, there's a love. I don't remember the name of the movie. Is it okay? I can continue.
Yes, yes, please go ahead. Hello.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's a movie. I don't remember the name or the sequence, but that's probably Deepthi Naval as a lead actor. The story is like this: she gets married to a house, and then the husband leaves her the very next day. But then she's employed, and the family keeps her for financial needs. And then 6 years, he does not come back, the husband. And by then, she develops a relationship with somebody in her office. Okay, so yeah, then they make up their mind to say that we're getting married. She tells it to her father. Her father says, "Perfect, go ahead, no problem, no point in waiting." And then she goes and tells it at the in-laws' house. Now the in-laws are looking at an opportunity where they are telling the man also to stay back in their house so that they have double income and support. Okay, then they're quite opportunist types. So she's okay. They're happy that they're going to get married. But then the day the marriage is declared, the husband comes back. Okay, then the entire family turns against her. They tell stories about the in-law, and then she really goes into a trauma. All hunky-dory things becoming. And then, she'll not be able to handle this mental agony and trauma, and then she becomes mentally sick. And then, to the extent that she's put into a hospital, asylum. And she loses her father also when she is in the hospital. Actually, she will not know that her father is dead or something like that. Okay, she's in the asylum, and how she gets this man whom she loved. He keeps going to her and then trying to talk to her and all that. That would take another 6 years or so. So when she actually comes out of that situation with medicine and doctor's help, the last scene I really love. She sits. She's sitting on a bench, and then her father comes and sits next to her. And father puts a hand on the daughter's head and tells her, "You are a strong child, my dear. I'm there for you." And that's when there's some glow on her eyes. She looks at her father's face, and then she stands up. That's a very touching movie. I don't know the name. I should find out. Maybe after this, we should find out. For me, my father is a figure like that.
Wow.
At the in the toughest moments, he has given the maximum help to me.
And I think being parent, that is our job to ensure that we give that safe space, we give that that a friend's here, okay, I'm there for you. And I think most of us, not most of us, all the parents would try their best to give those things to their kids. However, if you talk to each one of us when we were kid, maybe our impression of our parents would have been very, very different. Although every parent has the same intention, however, the way you do that, we feel that okay, once we have given birth, okay, we are parents, like we are certified parents. But that's not the case. You have to keep, evolving your parenting as well in order to give the best you can, which most of us try. However, there is scope always for improvement, I would say. So that's really great to hear that you have that friend and that safe space in your house, being your father, having your father. So that's great. So that's how you have overcome. Then, what was next after plus two? You have
Then
chosen
I did
your
my BSc,
yes.
BSc
Mm-hmm.
chemistry, botany, microbiology.
Mm-hmm.
There I was very active. I floated a science club. I was president of a interclass, inter-college event. Our science club was named Chimera. So, and I was active with dance, music, a lot of things. Came out of it after 6, 7 months of getting into BSc. I accepted that life. Was very active. Um, then I finished my BSc, chose to do MSc,
Mm-hmm.
and MSc was a very sweet journey. Even today, our MSc friends are connected in a group, WhatsApp group, and that was a very nice journey. The university had very good professors also. Some three, four of them who were very committed to the subject, and uh, though the facilities weren't great at the state university, but the professors definitely instilled a direction to work. So that was nice. And then, the spirit of wanting to excel was very deep when I joined MSc. And I got a gold medal. And in this period, I also, I joined a lot of groups and social activism and all that. I was active in all of that. That didn't go well with my parents. They're not happy with me doing all of it. uh, yeah, I understand. I would understand their viewpoint, but then that was also the time when I had to break away from the conservatism. Because if I continued to be that very goody daughter, life wouldn't be easy for me. I started realizing that. And I was also very deeply engaged and interested in ensuring truth and social justice. So I was drawn to groups and organizations, and I did join a lot of them. So that was they were active years, like BSc second year to MSc were very very active years of full youth, active young girl, rebellious, doing a lot of things, and even studies were part of all these activities. It wasn't like sitting in the house and studying. Studying was part of everything, and probably that also gave me the freedom to learn a lot. Because when you do too many things, your mind absorbs a lot of things in quick time, and that social exposure also was very good. So then in MSc, I got a gold medal, and that is the time I gained my self esteem. I could
Boosted
regain
up.
my self-esteem.
Yes. So what I
It took
clearly
5
say,
years.
yes, it took 5 years for you. And that depression or that low phase of feeling a doubt on your self-worth, that pushed you probably to be the best in what all I can, because you had good professors, you had good place to study. There were a lot of new things which you were trying, even though not
Yes.
so much
Yes.
approved of your parents. Still, you thought that was needed, right? And you followed your heart and
Yes.
got into multiple things. And once you got that gold medal, that depression, which was 5 years ago, okay, now I have achieved, and now I can make my parents proud, right?
Yes. Yes. It did make my parents proud as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very, very big thing to have gold medal at post graduation level. So it is an important and what to say, a very, I don't have the right word, but a very important landmark, obviously, in your educational career. So, how did you decide to be the teacher or professor, I would say, after MSc?
One thing I realized about myself was, mm, I've been a very people person. Whatever I do, even with friends, very deep bonds. In fact, I have such deep bonds with my friends. They may not take me with that kind of depth, but from my side, giving is like that. Even if the reception is not very strong from their side, for me, a friend is a very important person. For me, anybody who comes around me is a very important person. It's and that's the one that keeps me going. Also, that trust in the goodness of others, the trust in the goodness of their intentions. That's what keeps me going even today. Though when there are betrayals, I don't that's another problem with me. I'm fully trusting and trustworthy, but if I see betrayal, or if I see that there is a double standard, then it's like cut off.
Hmm. Okay.
I can't then make up somehow and manage.
So you're pure from your heart. If your affection is there, it's like more than 100%,
Yes.
and you feel that okay, as you said, double standard, or if you figure out okay things are not going on the way you want, then you would rather take yourself or withdraw yourself away and better put your
So
energy
I'll
to
not tell bad things to the person who did
yes,
it, because they may have their reasons. They have done their
exactly.
best. They know that's the best they could do. But then, if I'm not able to gel well, I would rather step aside politely,
Hmm.
and on the emotional side, that spring that's so full shuts down.
Hmm. Hmm. True. True.
I can still smile at them again, but then the spring inside does not. It isn't real. It
That
doesn't come
smile
back.
that will not come from heart. It's just like okay, being casual,
Manage.
okay, hi, hello, and
Hi.
that's kind of okay. So I think in that kind of space, you did realize that okay, maybe teaching is the best best fit as per your thing. So see how your
No, but
awareness has
the
developed.
moment I didn't do, I couldn't get medicine. The
Mhm.
next thing that was deep on my mind, even today I have that, that is like, I wish to build a school, proper school. Maybe now that the online space is opened up, I should think of an online school also. I don't know. But then a proper school where learning is joy, and then it's based on foundations are in science, and you have very happy young children who think that the world is there for them to conquer. And I really want to shape up that kind of, even if I shape up, say, 1,000 kids like that in my lifetime, that would be the greatest satisfaction for me. So I still hold that dream. But then that was there, even as a young kid. I really wanted to start a school. Then I thought I should be doing it in a rural area, and that all that. But now, given my health condition and all that, I cannot sustain that rural area dream. But I'll definitely want to have a school. And then now I don't even feel that I should be giving this only to the underprivileged. I feel knowledge is to be given to everybody, irrespective of whichever background they come from. But then I would definitely want to give it to those kids who can use it for proper social justice.
Beautiful dream, lovely thought, and I think because of internet reach and availability of resources online, I'm sure you can think of starting a bit of it, and let's see how it works. So
Yes.
I would love to be part of that initiative. So please do
Surely,
consider me
Nidhi,
whenever
surely.
you want to.
Surely, Nidhi, surely.
Okay, so when did you get married?
I got married in 2005, and that was when I was a lecturer. I was in presidency. I was a lecturer, and then I got married. And I met him in one of these groups that I was there. So that was a love marriage. That was also another story.
I would love to hear it someday.
Yeah, that was like, my parents had given up on me, like, whether this girl will get married or not. They were very anxious about what I would do. Got into so much of this kind of activism stuff. So when I said I'm getting married, they had a big sigh of relief. Okay, at least finally she's getting married to somebody kind of. And then when I told it is him, immediately the question was, well, how will our relatives take it? It's an intercaste marriage, and will it be okay? And all that. But then he was employed. He was a software professional, so it wasn't very tough for them to see the value in the relationship. But then when my father, actually, again, I should say special things about my father here, my mother also. Given this, the moment they felt that, okay, I've moved this way and I'm going ahead, they became a little modern in their approach. In fact, my father said, that's okay, I will now come with you to all my relatives and then invite them to the marriage. Whatever they want, let them tell me. You also be there. But then together we'll go and invite people. So that was a very, very big gesture for my father because he comes from that kind of typical conservative background. He comes from that conservative background, but he was always modern in his
He
thought
has this
process.
open mind and growing as the time.
Open mind, and the hallmark of my father's personality is empathy. Empathy, he will never judge on others. He will say, "Put yourself in their shoes and see. They are right from where they are."
Right. And that gives a different perspective altogether because until now you will be thinking with your own thought process, your belief system. But the moment you put yourself in someone else's shoes, not 100%, but at least some percentage you will understand, okay, where they are coming from. So that's really very sweet of him to do that.
So that's when I took to teaching, and so that then we decided to have a marriage, and we had a register marriage, a simple one. That was also a little tough on my parents because they wanted a very grand marriage. We chose to have a simple marriage, but then we hosted get-togethers for our friends, and
So
so
was it difficult for your relatives to digest the fact that this wedding is in a different kind and not up to their expectations? How did you come across all those
it
barriers?
was tough. It was tough. Many of them felt not very okay and they didn't like it at all. They had made some bad remarks also. But then I must say, my father's sister and brother, both of them are also, they are from a village background, and but both of them give a lot of surprises to me. In fact, my father told me once that my aunt, who's his elder sister, they share a wonderful bond. I think they're like some examples which will remain exemplary. They share such a good bond. They're friends actually, more than brother and sister. They're friends. She calls him, he calls her. They share the um, their emotions, feelings, everything. So my aunt, actually, my aunt wanted me to be in her house. In our families, they try to settle marriages at very early ages between relatives. So my aunt wanted me to be in her house, but then when I came out and when I said I'm not going to be there, I'm not going to be in their relative circle itself, Yeah, some of them seem to have spoken not very good about this marriage, and then she's apparently told them that, my brother had the guts to uh, do a simple marriage for his daughter. Do one more such simple marriage in your entire family, then I will say it is something. I'm very proud of him. That's something very, very special for me to have heard.
Wow. So it's
Somebody
your parents and
advocating.
your siblings. Yes.
Somebody advocating a simple marriage is not very easy in today's.
Yes. That's very kind
Yes.
of
And
them.
and herself, having faced disappointment from me. I didn't get into her house, okay. But then still she said that I have deep regard for her
Yeah, she stood by her brothers,
brothers and
which
her own value system.
yes, certainly, certainly.
Yes.
It's getting very insightful. So I'm very happy that we are having this conversation. So when did you get this idea that I should get into career coaching and life coaching and all that
All this
space?
all of this is recent. This was there on my mind even as I was lecturing in the college, and as I was teaching for many years. The only thing I knew was, the students with PCMB could take medicine, dental, or pharmacy, and if not these three branches, then they had basic sciences to choose, and then become a lecturer, crack UGC net, and then become professors or
Professor.
teachers. So
Right.
this was the only path I knew, and I would only advocate this to my kids. But then, when I was teaching, I actually saw so many of them with so many diverse interests. They were doing biology, but then they were not meant for biology. Like, I know so many of my students who became air hostess, so many of them who became dietitians, some of them became wildlife photographers. So their interests were so many, and I this feeling was suffocating me within. Like, I really don't know what are the options, and I see so many bright children. At least, in this position, they look up to us, and we don't know what to tell them. This was eating me inside, and thanks to this pandemic, all of us were locked in the house. So that's when I sat with myself and wrote down what is all that I wanted to do, and then when I felt that career guidance is also one of them, I finished a course, and that's when I did it more for my own sake, just to know options than make a career out of career guidance. It was more like, I just wanted to know it for myself, so that if anybody comes to me informally, I'll have something more to tell them.
Yeah, that's so true. And that also shows what kind of teacher you are. I mean, that's true teacher, what we call, somebody who can give you the guidance, at least show you the path. Okay, go this way, and probably you'll find what you're looking for. And by becoming a teacher by choice and by force, they're two different things. Since you chose this path by choice, you were always that kind, what best I can do for my kids, right? Be it at whatever level you teach them, be it at PUC level or to the higher classes. That teacher within you, who holds the true value of teacher, probably led you to this. And I'm glad that whenever I talk to you, I always hear that you do want to do so much for kids and what best can be done and all that. So that's amazing to hear that you go out of the way and try to find what best I can do as a teacher. So really, kudos to you for that. And how did you get into the life coaching space? Because I know that you do that as well.
Okay, okay. So after my MSc, even there, I actually took to research. The first, I was doing proper research, and I did some research that was very uh, directly impacting health in people. Like, say, I was doing this pollen watch. Pollen watch is collecting the pollen samples in Bangalore, and then produce a report every day that this is the pollen load of various plants. And if there are lots of people who are allergic to pollen grains in Bangalore, so that report would be published from our lab. Professor Agashe was my professor. He was very passionate about this work. So I was drawn to him. He took me as his student also, and for 2 years I was doing that work. And when I got an opportunity to do PhD with him, he also was, supported me. But then, I was very much active in these groups, and so my father said, if you do PhD, if you do this kind of activism, I'll not support you with your PhD. So then I gave up because it was too much for me to give up on these things. My professor also was very angry with me, so that's another thing I had to handle. It was 2 years of work just going down the drain, and I chose um, social activism over all of that. So that's another thing that I faced then. You know, so when did I take to life coaching, or why did it become important to me? That's like, what, after all of this, and um, in 2000, when I went through this, there was a phase in my life after I was a lecturer professor. I had this constant chronic back condition. I would always get this disc prolapses on and off. That started when I was in my first time in my BSc second year. I was a dancer, actually, Bharatanatyam dancer, and then, once I felt excruciating pain in my legs. I couldn't stand up and all that. My friends brought me home, and then that's the first time I had that experience of back pain. From then on, it went on worsening. So I had to handle this chronic back pain. It would be debilitating quite often. Even when I was doing all this active work, when the pain surfaces, I had to take 15 days bed rest and then again get up. So it was too much for a young girl. At 23, 24, I was active with so many ideas to be lying down on bed. So that took a very big toll on my mental health. Not that I even realized that it is taking a toll, but it was eating me from within. So after marriage, I also had many other issues. I had 5 miscarriages, and had some uh, between 2005 and 2010. I had 12 surgeries for various reasons. So some minor, major, all of them. Uh, um, so what happened was I had a very very tough situation. And see, till I was in my college teaching and HOD of the biology department, that was a proper regular career path that anybody takes. And even with back pain and other things, you have health issues. If your management is okay with it, you continue the job. So that was still a predictable path for me. But then, when I fell sick, and when on and off, this was happening, I felt miserable. In fact, I started feeling, is there any value to a life like this? What is the use of somebody being bright here? Stephen Hawking's story I knew. There's so many people who were getting up, but then those motivational stories were not enough for me to get up myself. I would listen to it. I would listen and feel nice about them, but then they won't drive me to do everything. Because if when the moment I would go out and then stretch myself, I'd again get back to this pain. And in 2015, when my kid was just 3 year old, yeah, 2.5, 3 year old, he had delirium. I put him in the bucket in the night, and then I just lifted him. And then this thing became extremely worse. My leg became numb, and I started losing bowel and urine control. That's when the doctors operated on me, and the spinal cord surgery also happened. And after that, it took almost a year for me to just get back to basic normalcy, walk and all that. But then that surgery also was a partial success, not a full success. That fluid keeps coming again and again, again and again. So immediately it gave me relief, but the relief was not long term. So it started having a very, very deep impact on my mind. I dream, I try to take something, and as I'm doing it, the back pain surfaces. I withdraw. So many people would have developed hopes on my, because given my nature, I become like a central pillar. I attract a lot of dependency. And then just when the event has to happen and it's like the final days, I stretch myself, somehow pull it on till then. Sometimes I can't pull it on, I lie down, and then everybody else has to take that load. So I started feeling I'm very undependable, and I can't deliver. So that had a very big say on my mind. And then, in fact, so much that I started again this cycle of self doubt. What can now though I'm like a housewife, right? I can't do much. Whatever is my education, there's nothing that I'm doing. I'm not teaching anybody. I'm not earning anything. I've come back. So that had a very big impact on my mind. And even the social service was very free, so I was doing it. And that's when, when it was happening like this for a long time. In 2019, after the pandemic, I saw some of these business coaches and people like that on the internet, and that's when I got introduced to this new world. And then I felt, okay, say this issue is also a very important issue. If you can hold that space, in case for me, like in my case, if there was somebody who would help me in 2015 after surgery on how I can get back, what I can do. Just the simple inputs, somebody holding space for you and telling that you can do a lot of things. We are there for you, kind of, that would save me of at least 10, 7, 8 years of agony, you know so I felt that that's one of the very important thing that I should develop a skill in. And then this heart that I have, that I give out more than 100%, is a perfect fit to help a lot of people out there. And with my back condition, I don't think I'll be able to go back and climb stairs and stand for an hour and teach and all that. But this is very much possible. Sitting in front of the system, supporting people, and you know, you teach biology, do YouTube videos, and all that. This is possible. So that gave me a liberating feeling, and that's when I took to life coaching also. And the initial exposure to that came with you. In fact, when we discussed 1 year back, you said you're a life coach. I said, what is a life coach and who's a life coach and all that. And that's when I got interested and curious. So first, thanks to you for opening up that word in my head. And then my mentor Pooja Puneet, she's a really marvelous person. She's definitely helped a lot of women, and my gratitude comes from the bottom of my heart. She's really doing a marvelous work with that. So um, that's when I took to life coaching, more with an deep urge to serve and also make money, both. So
Yes,
that,
certainly.
for me, my intention is I make more money. At least 10 years from today, I must build a good school, I must build a good orphanage, I must have enough money so that I can support at least 100 children who are extremely bright in their academics to take to medicine or engineering or any course that they choose to. They shouldn't be held back
Hmm.
because of lack of money. I did a lot of agitation, I did a lot of social movements and all that. But in the present condition, I don't think I'll be more effective in that space. So the rest of the years that I have, I really want to gather enough money so that I can serve this way.
Awesome. It is really inspiring to hear that all those things which you are today are the result of what all you have gone through, and how you thought how you can help yourself, or how somebody could have helped you, and then you become that source of light for helping others, at least those who are going through that. It is really hard, as you said, like 5 miscarriages and then so many surgeries, major, minor. Somebody who used to be so active all of a sudden becomes like dependent on others, and it is really hard to come out of all this. And it all shows your zeal for life and for helping people, that you pulled yourself up even though there were people to help, but there was somebody who could have been there, like being a life coach or somebody who can be there to hold your hand, to let out your feelings and express it, and maybe
Yes.
guide you in a certain way. So
Yes.
all that had led you to be a life coach. And I know, as we also talk offline, that you keep holding your sessions and helping so many people. All that is really amazing to hear. And I know in India, being a life coach is something which people still wonder what is it, and is this something called life coach, or you just start calling yourself. We can definitely have another session in detail about
Correct.
that.
Some
Yeah. So I was saying, I was touching a part which was not very happy part, where you said there were five miscarriage. I know it is really really hard to go through that process. Obviously, I cannot even imagine what kind of pain you must have gone through. However, what changed once your son came in your life? Just wanted to understand that also.
actually my son, nature's way is just amazing. That's what I would like to say. A kid coming into your life brings so much happiness. My father would always tell me that a child in your life was a very big shift. I never felt it, but then when my son came, it was like all the happiness in the world has fallen on my lap. Kind of, that was a kind of deep connect I had with my son. I think every mother feels that. That's a special feeling. I think it's nature's way of giving that support to the next generation. So it was very nice. My son coming into my life gave me a lot of zeal for life again. Uh, uh, Also, it came with pressures. In the sense, when he was born, given this kind of previous miscarriages and the toll that it had taken on my uh, mental well-being, I fell into postpartum depression. And the first day I experienced happiness, my child, I had tears in my eyes. But for the next 6 months, I completely lost myself. I was continuously crying, the kid on my baby on my hand, not able to respond, attend to the kid. And I so much wanted to be that special person. See, given my giving all out, I so much wanted to be there for the kid, but it was impossible for me to attend. My mother was feeling, "What's wrong with you? Why are you crying?" Nobody understood that there's a condition called postpartum depression also. And then there was one very senior friend of mine whom I hold in high esteem even today. Uh, with his help, I went to doctor, sought medical help, and I was diagnosed to have postpartum depression. I took medicines for almost 6 7 months, and then I actually started connecting with my kid. That entire period, I still remember as a flash of happiness, and then sinking into a dark space. And then again I got myself back after 6 7 months. So having gone through these experiences, I strongly feel women go through so many things in life, so many more things in life, that just requires a patient hearing, that just requires somebody, a non-judgmental space where they can speak their heart out, and they're powerful enough, they can handle their lives. Not that they are waiting for some advisors to handle their life. They have everything within them, but in the most vulnerable moment, they need that hearing space, they need that community support. And these experiences actually made me feel very strongly about being in that space to offer help to women and kids, both sides.
Your love for kids was anyways there, and this all this has
Yes,
brought that sense of that, okay, someone has to be there, that safe
correct.
space has to be provided, that hearing ear should be there,
Yes,
somebody who's empathetically listening to you without being judgmental. And if we have that space, that's what is needed. Rest, we all are capable enough to handle our
correct.
own battles. So very true, very insightful. And then how old is your son now?
Now he's 10.
Wow.
He's 10 years now.
Okay. So, You currently, how is your health? Is this fine now, or are you still going through?
Just now, my health is, I've accepted this fact that I'll have back pain on and off, on and off. And I've also accepted the fact that I cannot lead the typical normal life that everybody else has. The routine, they move at 10 o'clock, finish their work, and come back at 5, 5:30. I've now accepted this fact. But then I also know that with whatever you have, you can be extremely productive. So I have found my ways of being extremely productive in the last 2.5 years. Um, yeah.
So it's not about what resources you have, it's about whatever you have, how resourceful you become with
Yes.
whatever
Yes.
you have. I mean, accept whatever conditions you have. If you can change it, go ahead, change it. If you cannot, stop complaining and just start looking for how can I make them
Yes.
work for myself or
Correct.
for the people in and around me. And I also know that you have published a book as well. How did you
Yes.
manage to do that?
That was on my mind for a long time. From the time I've been teaching, I really wanted science to be narrated in the form of stories. Even the stories of scientists, as the way you are doing an interview, just listen to them, know from
Yes.
them what they did, how they did, all that they did,
Yes.
kind of. So I was always interested in that kind of space. Peep into the life of a scientist and see what made them become that kind of. So I said, because I am with biology and I'm passionate, I thought let me focus on this area and then introduce so many people who have made breakthrough discoveries and the way they have done work. So I thought I'll start a series on that. And since I've always been very passionate about microorganisms, and COVID also struck then. COVID was itself a virus which was rattling mankind. So that's when I felt this was the right time to put my all thoughts together and bring out a book. And that's when I wrote the first book, Adventures of the Microbe Explorers, which gives a candid view of Antony von Leeuwenhoek, bringing out that simple microscope, uh, the struggles that went in to even see bacteria and get it accepted as an organism. So that's when the thought came and I wrote the book. How I wrote the book, again I must tell you, now the internet space has opened options for a lot of coaches who teach these things. I was then exposed to Som Patla, sir. He runs his own team. I joined that, and that's when I got that idea that I can also do a self publication. And he gave me that basic idea and input on what all can be done. I joined his course, and then I found this niche for myself and published the book.
Amazing. And I remember we used to discuss where is the
Yes.
book, up to what stage has it
Yes.
come, and has it been completed or not. So I remember our chats offline about all those things. So kudos to you after, I mean, in spite of dealing with on and off your back issues and all those challenges in life. And I know it's not normal, at least COVID had a toll on everyone, each and every one of us. Still, there are few who have, who have been still dealing with that fact, and there are few who made a fortune out of this situation, and there are people who are still getting better and better at this situation every day. So, hats off to you for doing so many things in the best capacity what you have. There has been a lot of learnings during our conversation today. Before I wind up for the day, I would like to ask you, how was your experience from our conversation today?
I would say thank you for making me relive all those moments in my life. That if you wouldn't ask those questions, I would never answer. And thank you for bringing this out. And I like the caption of your podcast also. Ordinary people then
Extraordinary goals.
extraordinary goals, kind of. I still don't know if my goals are extraordinary, but I would definitely say that everybody's life has something that if we look at them as people and then there's so many life lessons to learn, and that's a brilliant thought from your side, that you chose to get out of the best lessons that people can learn from each other's life. And I felt very thankful, and I really felt this idea itself is so innovative, and I'm so glad, and I'll be so happy that if people can see your show, and then it becomes a great grand success.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure, and I'm sure my audience would have loved it that having you here. And thanks to you, I know there were some moments which were very personal to you, but still you shared them with us. Thank you so much for being here on the show.
Thank you, Mino. Thanks a lot. And I know that you are also a very great life coach, and in fact, I've also been benefited by what you have told me in those informal talks so often. The growth mindset, the different relationship with money, and the help that you give. You're also so non-judgmental, and that's why I said, the first conversation built such deep bonds and friendships between us. So thank you for that.